So I was speaking to some friends and I was expressing my frustration with them about certain areas of my life when it came to relationships, vices. And then I realized, it dawned upon me, I was having what most people would call a quarter-life crisis. Now, straight away, that sounds terrible. Like, when have crises ever been good or framed as a good thing to happen to someone? But upon reflecting, I think it can serve as a wake-up call. Now, typically, the most common version of a crisis that we hear of is the older brother to this quarter-life crisis, which is the half-life crisis, which, typically occurs to men in their mid-40s, where they realize that there are certain dreams that they haven't achieved, or they're not satisfied with the point that they're at in their current lives at that moment in time. Thinking about it, the beauty of this is the quarter-life crisis can potentially protect you from having that half-life crisis. It's not half-life, it's midlife crisis, bruv. I don't know what I've been saying this whole video. I'm 24, soon to be 25 at the end of this year, God's willing. And like I said, I was frustrated with certain areas of my life and I feel like I was having a quarter-life crisis. But I realized that this is important because it serves as a point in your life where you're at a crossroad. You can continue doing certain habits that you know aren't good for you and go down that path, or you can fix your life and the habits that you're not proud of and steer it in the right direction, pretty much putting your life back on course, which hopefully gets you to the point where you want to be from your 30s and onwards. I was listening to a podcast recently and a psychologist by the name of Susan David was speaking about our emotions and how our emotions aren't supposed to control us, but we should control our emotions. But that point aside, she spoke about how our emotions can act as a signal for when we need to change something in our life. For example, let's say that you were angered by your girlfriend doing something that you weren't proud of. You should be able to look at that situation, understand what it was that angered you, and then make changes. For example, she may have crossed a boundary somewhere. You should have that conversation with her, speak about those boundaries, and then move forward, hopefully ensuring that it doesn't happen again and your relationship is better off in the future. Now, bringing the focus back to ourselves, and for this example, myself, I was feeling frustrated with my life. I'm at this crossroad. Clearly, there's something that my brain is telling me or my emotions are telling me that I need to acknowledge and take action on. The two areas of life that I want to focus on this video, which I feel my frustrations were geared towards, are relationships and health. And when it comes to relationships, I've been going through a breakup for a year. Very, very long breakup, and it was difficult, still just coming out of it. And I think I do have a lot of processing still to be done, a lot of work to be done on myself to make sure that I come out of it healed. What was not benefiting my healing was me trying to distract myself from the big issue at hand and diving back into the streets. Or attempting to, should I say. Now, going back to those frustrations that I was talking to my friends about, I found that my interactions with women that I was trying to pursue were not being fulfilled. And I was so confused. I was telling my friends, I lost my source, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, no, what are you talking about, bro? You haven't lost your source, you're having a bad spell. But I think sometimes you know yourself when things aren't going right. And I was telling myself, I was like, mate, I am in the most prime form I've ever been in. I'm in the best shape I've ever been in. I feel like I look the best. I feel like I've gained a lot more confidence throughout the year, so I know how to speak to women, blah, blah, blah. So I didn't think that there was necessarily an issue with my approach. Believe me, I've been successful with a lot less than you can see now. But I'm a big believer in the whole everything happens for a reason, and in that same vein that you shouldn't try and go against the flow of things that the universe is trying to convey to you. I know it sounds like a whole load of woo-ha, but I fully believe that I was not meant to be pursuing these leads. And so going forward, now I've just accepted it. Not to say that I've given up, but I realize that now is not the time for that. I'm not putting my energy into those things. There are other areas of my life which require my attention and deserve my attention way more than that. Now, secondly, I wanted to speak about health. If you've been following the channel for a while, you'll have seen that my topics have changed throughout the years. I used to do streetwear content and all of that. And then I moved into more lifestyle, self-improvement type content. And recently I've been able to incorporate a lot more physical fitness and that sort of advice. I consume a lot of it, so I thought it's only right that I'm able to share it back with you guys. We're focusing on and having goals to do with fitness. These feed into a larger area, which is health. Now I'm not gonna lie to you, it was very important for me to look good so that I could be attractive to the opposite sex, okay? And not to say that I'm not interested in that anymore, but there are other areas in the realm of health which I think are very important for me to clock onto and make sure I carry going forward. Vices. Vices are a killer. We all have vices and some of us struggle with them more than others. But what I found to be destructive is the way vices can influence others. If you've heard of positive habit stacking, it can also work in the reverse. You can have negative habit stacking. I'm sure we can all remember at school when our teachers told us that having an energy drink would lead us to eventually becoming crack addicts. But I'm here to tell you that they're not necessarily that far off. It's a bit twisted, but if you tweak it, there can be some merit to the thought process there. The examples I'm gonna give you are personal ones, which I have struggled with, and I realize that they're not good and I should cut off the problem at the source. The first one is weed. And I know a lot of you guys are probably subscribers because of what I spoke about when I was speaking about weed in the past and how I stopped and I quit weed for a full year. Didn't touch it at all. I was around people that were smoking, didn't touch it. However, December 2020, I booked a holiday with my girlfriend at the time to the motherland, Jamaica, and bro, I had already had a premeditated decision that I was going to when I was there. I was like, bro, how can I go there for the first time by myself, as in without my parents, and not lungs up? And so, you know, I'd done it whilst I was there. And when I came back to London, I was like, well, I've already broken it now. So if someone offers, I'm not gonna say no. Now, thankfully, I never got back into the habit of regularly picking up and smoking every day. But if it was there, I would engage. Now, if you haven't seen that video that I'm referring to where I outlined all of the problems I had with being a stoner, go and watch that. All of that still applies, big time. However, there was a new problem that I faced which conflicted with one of my goals, and that was the munchies. Brother, the munchies, at one point I was very strict with what I was eating, what I was putting in my body, especially when I was cutting down my body fat. I was like, yeah, this I can't run, this can't run, this can't run. Bro, when I tell you, lungs up, after a couple hours, I'll come home, whatever is in the cupboard is getting demolished. Cleared out. This vice is conflicting with one of my fitness goals. When it comes to those fitness goals, this is something that is a big part of my goals anyway. It's like, yeah, this, number two at least, yeah? It's like, yeah, I wanna be in shape. And so this is what I'm talking about. That negative vice can lead to another negative activity, which is overeating. Not just overeating, but just eating bad food in general. The other negative vice I'm gonna speak about is alcohol. I feel like growing up, I never really had an issue with this substance. Like, I started drinking from a young age, so it was normalized, and then no one really turns up their nose at it. Especially in the UK, it's embedded into our work culture. Whenever you're going out for a drink. I remember Thursdays, my mate would come and put a bottle of Heineken on my desk and say, hey, get to drinking, son. We've got Thursday and Friday and Saturday and day drinking on Sunday to look forward to. When you go clubbing, the smoking area is enticing because, you know, if you're in a sweaty club, you want to go out and get some fresh air. You can't usually go outside the club to a normal place, but people go out into designated areas to smoke. And obviously they're not smoking weed, they're smoking cigarettes because that's legal, okay? Now, in the recent years, vaping is also a thing, but yeah, it's cigarettes or vape. Recently, when I was drinking, because I was drinking so much, I would end up craving a cigarette so much whenever I was drinking. So, like, I knew I wouldn't buy a pack, but I would ask someone, if I'm at the pub, I'm drinking a drink, I'm sitting outside, I was like, mate, have you got a cigarette for me, please? And people are generous, they give it to you, it's fine. I spoke to someone that does smoke, and they said, how many are you smoking? I said, oh, 4. And they're like, oh, it's not that bad, but that's because they smoke packs. Now, 4 cigarettes for me in one night is a lot to someone that doesn't smoke, and I found myself being quite disgusted, and especially I felt ashamed when I was telling my friends. I was like, yeah man, I'm smoking cigarettes. Like, what, why you, bro, you banging gym, all of this, like banging bare gym, and now you're smoking cigs, what's going on? Doesn't make any sense. And so I realized that something needed to change again. As such, going forward, I'm going to be seriously monitoring my indulgence in said substances. I'm not going to share too much right now. I have a plan in my head. Hopefully at some point you will be able to see the results of said plan, but that will be coming soon. So basically, my bro, at the end of the day, what I'm saying is, if you are my age, around mid-20s or early 20s, and you realize that you're having some certain frustrations in life and you're not content with the way your life is going, it might be a signal for you to just wake up, do some maintenance, and figure out what you want to do going forward with different areas of your life. Now, I know in this video I only spoke about health and kind of relationships, but this applies to other areas that are important for you. It could be family, it could be your living situation, it could be your career, etc., etc. And definitely for me, myself, I'm going to be focusing on those areas of my life as well in private. Hopefully I have something to share on those as well. But I just wanted to let you know that if you're going through it, you're not the only one, you're not alone, and that we can correct the course of action so that when we are 40, we don't have that midlife crisis. Well, half-life crisis. If you are younger and you're in your late teens, then hey, good for you. You've got a few more years, but you definitely do want to be making more of the right decisions than the wrong ones at a young age, so that when it comes to being in your 20s, you've built up some good habits that would be very hard for you to break. And so then you're well on your way to being at the point that you want to be, and probably have even more aspirational goals, which is bloody brilliant, mate. I think I've said everything I want to say, but yeah, if you found this video helpful, my bro, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment how you feel, what's your current situation in life. I know this was quite a long one, it's going to take me a while to edit, bloody hell, mate. But it's all worth it. As your friend, I've got you. Stay tuned.